I am WWF's longest reigning light heavyweight champion, Gilbert, and you are now somewhere in the ring.
The following podcast is scheduled for one recording with no time limit. Making their way down to somewhere in the ring, Andrew Sanford and Ryan Sprague.
Rock and roll, wrestling, rock and roll. Is that not a genre of rock and roll?
It is.
Wrestling,
it is.
Okay, good.
Wrestling rock. Yeah.
Yeah. If there's
sure.
anything Hulk Hogan has accomplished in his career, it's being a wrestling rock star. You got a Hogan Funko Pop?
I have a Hogan Funko Pop. I'm sorry.
I do like that you had. No, it's not your fault. I just do like that you had to put a white person in between Hogan and the person of color that's on the same, just to be safe, just to protect that person from that man's nonsense. Hi, Ryan.
Hello, Andrew.
This is Somewhere in the Ring. I am Andrew Sanford. You are Ryan Sprague, and this is a show where we talk about wrestling.
We got plenty to talk about. We had a big review this past weekend from AEW that I watched, so I'll dig into that. Amazing. I know you were able to watch all of Raw last night, so we'll dig deep into that. But before we do anything, we have some reviews that we have not read yet on the show. So I'm going to go ahead and put those up here on your screen if you're watching this or just listening. We will read these out. But yeah, this first one's a little long, so I will speed read through this. This is over on Apple. What a good show. Really enjoyed the podcast. Was familiar with Ryan Sprague Somewhere in the Skies. I'm going to briefly speed through. It's a lot of fun. This commentary is informed without being douchey. The hosts are clearly having fun with the subject matter without the need to be right, and some of the predictions are nothing I could ever come up with. I've been out of the wrestling world since 2008-ish and recently started watching again when my kids took an interest in WrestleMania 39. So I've been relearning it over the last year, and I'm sure their takes on periods of the decades plus I've missed will help me along. It really is a lot of fun. Give this one a listen. 5 stars. So thank you to Y2 Carl. And you want to go ahead and read that other one there?
Sure. I like the headline on this one. It's good. Really enjoying this podcast so far. It feels like chatting with friends about wrestling, although I'm doing the listening because podcast. Fun and casual. I recommend. Thanks, AJ Weatherford. I think I know who that is, but I'm not sure. Either way, I appreciate it. Yeah, we always love it. Look, we are happy to always thank our fans on this show. So if you would like to leave us a review, we will read it on the show and be grateful forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. So please hop onto Apple Podcasts, hop onto your Spotify, wherever you listen to this. Leave us a review, like, subscribe, all that good jazz. And Ryan, before I have to talk to you about something before we get into the news of the week.
Okay.
So I went on our merch store.
Okay.
And I had a little a moment where I was like, I'm going to get a shirt.
Okay.
And I ordered a shirt. And I thought that I should bring this up because it kind of calls back to something else that happened on the show.
Okay.
Because I ordered the shirt, what I thought was a men's large, and I got this guy right here. Right, this little tiny. For those
what
who can't
happened?
See, this is a toddler. Let's see. This is a toddler size 4.
Okay,
if that makes sense. I don't think I'll be able to wear this.
Have you tried? Because sometimes, Andrew, sometimes if you really take a deep breath and think happy thoughts, things will fit. I've tried
You're being very kind. No, I just did this. Hold on. Let me get those buttons open.
Oh,
Ka-dow. Come on.
Oh, bam.
Come on. For those of you who can't see, I am repping Somewhere in the Ring merch. I have me and Ryan's face on my chest. There it is. There it is.
That's the first time my face has ever been on your chest. I think.
Yeah, we'll go with that. That's better.
That's for Patreon.
We'll say maybe. We'll say. But yeah, head to our merch store. Get some merch. No, I bought that little shirt on purpose. My son's, and then for whatever reason, I thought I marked the quantity at 2, and I guess I didn't. So another one is coming soon. So
I was gonna say they're gonna be fighting over it. We're gonna have a WrestleMania 40 match on our hands. That's awesome, man. Thank you. Thank you for supporting our podcast.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Andrew and Ryan.
Thank you. Well, I'm gonna have to get one now. Maybe I'll get a mug. I'm a big mug guy.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I was almost gonna get a sticker. The point is, you got options. When
you got
head
some
to our
options.
merch store. When you go to TeePublic, look up Somewhere in the Ring.
Yep.
We got
different
links
items
all over the place.
Colors, cuts, sizes, all that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that. I love it.
Of course. I thought it would be funny. I didn't even. For everybody listening, Ryan was caught off guard by that. I did hide that I had this shirt going into it. So
you did.
We're all about spontaneity over here.
Absolutely.
I think is the point.
Well, it was kind of cool. I guess spontaneous. Well, we had 420 this past week, which I know a lot of people celebrate and partake in. And one of those people who we know in the wrestling world has and always has been RVD. Mr. Rob Van Dam makes no qualms about it. It's been on his costumes throughout the years. And
I believe he wore a 420 singlet on Saturday night when he wrestled. So,
yes, absolutely. So what did we do? We sent out a special tweet wishing RVD a happy 420 as a joke, just making light of it. Because he's really the only wrestler I know in the biz who is like pretty open about embracing that. And who was the one person who liked our tweet about 420? That was Mr. RVD. So thank you,
Rob
Mr. Van Dam.
Van Dam. I have to say, everybody, if somebody's name comes in threes, I have to do it like LA Knight. It's the law. So yeah, thank you, RVD. Thank you for searching who is tagging you, or maybe you just got that notification and you were like that's
that. I'm going with that. He totally followed us on a whim and saw that. It was like, oh yeah, sweet. So did one Mr. John Cena.
Hey,
now
let's
following
go.
us as well. So
see,
we are we're big time guys. So thanks for everything. I think we're done with Somewhere in the Ring.
Yeah, it was about it. Right, it ran its course.
We done good.
It's time.
Yeah. But you can follow us over on Twitter, guys, at Some Ring Pod, where Mr. John Cena follows us as well. Last time I'll bring that up, I promise. But we got some other news as well, Andrew, from what I recall. Let's see here. Let's go into that news. Some bad news.
Yeah, we had kind of a Black Friday on Friday night. All these nice people got laid off. Jinder Mahal, Veer, Senga, Jia Lee, Jeon Quinn.
Sounds right.
I apologize if I pronounced that incorrectly. We're all released and will be subject to the 90-day no-compete clause, which I was kind of I think that's one of the biggest bummer. That feels like a McMahon relic.
Absolutely.
And it does. It's kind of a bummer that that's still the case, that these nice people won't be able to, try and make a living for the next 90 days, ride off of that. Because it is news that they were released. And
for them as well.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yes, big time. But they would be able to capitalize on that. Were it not for this 90-day compete clause. It's like clipping somebody's wings before sending them out to fly. Like, it sucks. It's a real bummer. So a heart goes out to all these folks. It was the amount of love that was being poured out by other superstars for Jinder Mahal after his release is nothing short of inspiring and also pretty sad. Like, he seemed to be very well liked in the locker room, a lot of, like, just a hard worker. And in his defense, like, he had that spot with The Rock earlier this year,
right?
And they had him off TV pretty much the entire time before that. Like, they just never know what to do with the guy. So it's kind of a bummer. It's the business. It is a business at the end of the day. There is usually kind of like a, for lack of a better term, house cleaning post WrestleMania, where they tried to remove some groups and shift things around. But this was it was a bummer to see, especially so many wrestlers from different backgrounds. I think it sucks. That's it. It sucks. So I think hopefully these people land on their feet. But we'll see what happens.
Absolutely.
Nothing is certain.
Yep. Never say never either. We've seen people be released so many times and come back. Yeah. It's the timing. It really is.
And Drew McIntyre made a reference to he and Jinder Mahal have both been released and like made bigger names for themselves outside of the WWE and come back.
Yep.
And I believe McIntyre's tweet said something along the lines of like, we showed them once, show them again, kind of a thing. So fingers crossed, because it's a tough business. Luckily, there are other companies that are doing pretty well right now. So hopefully these fine folks will be able to make some strides elsewhere.
They will. I have absolutely no doubt, whether it's AEW or even something like TNA, which leads us to our next story.
Boom.
Was it last week? I think you and I were talking about how Matt Hardy had become a free agent from AEW, and everyone was wondering, where's he going to go? Where's he going to go? Everyone was expecting back to the WWE, which is still a possibility. However, it was last weekend on a pay-per-view for TNA Wrestling called Rebellion, where
I believe was the same one where RVD wore his bong singlet.
I love it. I love how goofy these people are. Look at this. Matt Hardy has made his return to TNA as what is he called?
Broken Matt Hardy.
Matt Hardy.
Broken Matt Hardy. That was one of those things. Personally, I was never a huge fan. I get why people like, but I wasn't a fan of the material. I respect and love that he was doing something very, especially at the time, very different, being weird. And he's got this like grand way of speaking, and he musses up his hair, and he was doing a lot of like really silly vignettes and stuff like that. And if I remember correctly, it got so huge that they tried it in WWE for a little bit.
Really?
I believe they even tried to put him with Bray Wyatt around that time, because they just... Vince would always be somebody, I feel like, who wouldn't understand like big swings like that, but would try to act like he does. So there was a lot of misuse of Bray Wyatt. There was a misuse of Broken Matt Hardy. It just didn't click because they weren't really letting him be as absurd as he was in TNA, where he got more creative freedom. So seeing this was kind of exciting because he clearly likes doing that character. I'm not sure if he did it in AEW in the time that he's been there. But who knows? I think he's even acknowledged since that pay-per-view, not only that he showed up at TNA, but he is still a free agent. And he has talked about the Wyatt 6 and the idea of him possibly coming back into WWE to join whatever's pretty clearly being teased as stuff with Bo Dallas and in the Bray Wyatt legacy of things by WWE with all these QR codes, which is still happening. It's still happening last night on Raw. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see where Matt Hardy heads up. I am pretty excited about that because he's somebody who we'll get into this a little bit more later, but there is a lot of people from his class, if you will, that are still going pretty strong. And I think Matt Hardy's probably only in his 40s, but it wouldn't surprise me if he was a little bit older than that. Let's see this guy's age. I have a mother box with, he's going to be 50 in September.
Holy cow. Was not expecting that. Okay.
No, me neither.
Good for him.
He looks great. He looks great.
Does. Still killing it out there. And, this whole precedent of free agents is also exciting. I think we're going to see a lot more of that as time goes on. We saw like a TNA wrestler go into the Royal Rumble at the Women's Royal Rumble in WWE, and just people bouncing all over. I think it's cool. It's good for them, and they're not like trapped in these clauses, as it were.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. But
there was also a report recently that I think WWE is going to step up. Maybe we talked about this last episode, but that they're going to step up their attempts to partner with other wrestling companies, which I think is very smart. I think so too. It just opens yourself up to other audiences who may not. WWE has a stigma, especially among wrestling fans. And I think if they branch out a little bit more and try to show some of those other fans, it's like, hey, we can do some of the similar stuff that's going on your show. That's only going to help them. And it's only going to help the business if they help prop things up a little bit. So
everyone wins. I love it. Well, we had some pretty big wins this past week over at AEW.
Ryan, may I interrupt you real quick? Your segue game has been on point today.
Dude.
So you're firing on all cylinders.
I've been trained well. By who I don't know. But speaking of by who I don't know, AEW.
And you lost it. Yeah, you lost it.
I lost it.
It's all right. Keep going. Power through.
I flew too close to the sun. It's so hot. AEW Dynasty happened this past weekend, and I'm gonna say it off the bat, man. Like, you put up a post on our Facebook group, guys. Go over to Facebook, look for Somewhere in the Ring. We have a very active Facebook group. Love it over there. Hello to all our regulars. About who's going to be watching Dynasty, and we didn't get many responses on that because I think we have a primarily WWE focused audience, as we are kind of a WWE focused podcast. However, I took a chance and I actually ordered the pay-per-view.
Nice.
And I watched the whole thing. And
hell yeah.
I'm gonna say right now, awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Excellent. Awesome.
Very cool.
I will now be watching AEW pay-per-views. They haven't sold me on their weekly shows yet because I think the big thing with them, everyone kind of knows it. Like, they go all out for their All Out. Isn't that All In is the name of one of them. Sorry.
I think they've had it all out.
I'm pretty sure they have too, actually, now that I think about it. Cool. Anyways, they always kill it with their pay-per-views, but then when it comes TV time during the week, it kind of fizzles out. But
unless they are doing a pay-per-view on TV, which I still appreciate that's the one thing, because as somebody in the Facebook comments mentioned, and I'm kind of in the same boat as well, I didn't have $50 to drop on a wrestling pay-per-view. Was just not in the budget this week. But because 420 was on Saturday, but my money went elsewhere. But that being said, I appreciate, look, they have to do that right now. It's still what the model is. And they do fewer pay-per-views throughout the year. And then instead they will have these big, this is a special edition of Dynamite. It's called something else. And we're going to have pay-per-view level matches on there. So, it's not, there's a lot that they can't get away with. The card for Dynasty was humongous.
It was amazing.
Yeah. So, but forget about me. You watched it. What were your thoughts? What was your, if I may, what was your favorite match of the night?
Okay. Well, I mean, I didn't have huge expectations, but I mean, my man Adam Copeland was in one of the early events, which I really enjoyed. It was Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, and Mark Briscoe versus the House of Black. Yeah, Kingston's great,
actually, I like everybody in that match.
Yeah, it was a really good match.
Yeah.
Let's see here. House of Black defeated Copeland, Kingston, and Briscoe, unfortunately, but House of Black have a huge following. I mean, the audience went nuts when they won that match. So good for them. Copeland has rumored to have maybe a year and a half left, he said, before he actually retires. So I'm glad to see him putting people over and
contracted for a year and a half left.
No, he wants to actually retire. He thinks that's all he's really got left. So
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Just a rumor, and we know how much you can buy into rumors in wrestling. So
sure. Oh man, I feel like there has to be a Edge and Christian run left.
There better be. There better be,
like,
or
they
I'm
kind of have
burning
no
this
choice.
place
Yeah. But then I also wonder, I'm like, oh, does he want to end as a singles wrestler, or would he rather end, tagging with his best friend? We'll see. That's exciting. That's exciting stuff. And especially because he's who knows, things might be different now under Triple H, but if he wants to have a retirement match, he's at the right company.
Yes, absolutely.
This is what it is.
I could not agree more. Let's see. Okada defended his Continental Championship and retained against someone named Pac. Not familiar with Pac, but good match.
Oh, you don't remember him when he was on WWE for a little bit?
Was he? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, there was one that got kind of squandered while he was over there. I forget what his name was when he was at WWE, but he was on NXT for a little bit. They tried to move him up to Raw, and then they just didn't know how to book him. So
as usual.
Yeah. So, but that's exciting to hear.
It's cool. What else do we have? The TBS Championship was Willow Nightingale versus Julia Hart. Nightingale won the title, which is awesome. She was great. She was also the one who injured Mercedes Moné over in Japan. And now they're both in AEW.
I saw that. Yeah. Well, I think they're already. They're confirmed that they're wrestling each other soon.
Yep. Mercedes came out after the match and they did the stare down. So that's brewing and ready to go over there. So
that's exciting.
Looking forward to that. Okay. We had the FTW Championship, Hook versus Chris Jericho.
Okay.
Huge Jericho fan, always have been, always will be. Consider him a supporter of our work behind the scenes and hopefully in front of the scenes soon. We'll have more news on that. But Jericho defeated Hook to win the FTW title. So
yeah.
Jericho's
I heard he took a real beating too. Like it was which is pretty wild. And I'm excited to see. I feel like that's going to be it for Hook over it. I think his contract doesn't expire until later this year, but there's already been rumors that he's just like, I'm going to explore free agency a little bit. So
as he should.
It's the time to do it. It's the time to do it. But yeah. Absolutely. What does FTW stand for? Do you know?
I don't know. For a minute, I thought it was for the win.
I that's what I would assume, but it's because both old people.
We'll have to look that
We're
up.
like, we get leet speak. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Internet speak is like leet speak. Oh, don't ask me.
I don't know.
I played Fortnite with my niece the other night.
People still do this
12. Dab. Well, yeah. Okay. They do it like this. So we're dabbing.
Ow, my shoulder.
Oh boy. Oh no, not again.
Speaking of hurt shoulders, no, I'm just kidding. AEW World Women's Championship, Thunder Rosa versus Timeless Toni Storm. Have you heard of this Timeless Toni Storm, man?
I've seen clips and bits and pieces, but I'm not overly familiar with her.
Oh my God.
Good stuff.
She is the epitome of a performer.
Ooh, cool.
She's got this like kind of Sunset Boulevard, Marilyn Monroe, like 1920s feel to her.
Interesting.
Love it. Like all of her stuff is done in black and white, and she's got that way of speaking.
Wasn't there a WWE wrestler who tried to do the same thing? Was that Lacey Evans, maybe?
I don't know. Again, I feel like these were all the gaps in my WWE viewing times.
Yeah, she at least did like a hat thing. She had a fanciful hat.
Okay.
But that's
it was but anyways,
interesting.
Fantastic match. Thunder Rosa definitely is someone to look out for. I could see her heading to WWE sometime soon. But let's see. Toni Storm won that match. Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff. I promise. Well, they were all good, but Will Ospreay, who we brought up last week, versus Bryan Danielson. One of the best matches I've ever seen. I'm just gonna flat out say it.
Sure.
Anywhere, any territory, any time period.
Cool.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Like, I know we were talking not so good about Ospreay last week, but the dude can back up his words. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, which is fair. And I think you and I were texting about this, but it's as much as I still think what he was doing is not a good look. The kind of like and trying to respond to something where he wasn't directly mentioned, and using airtime to talk about Triple H, somebody who's not at the company. The man's in his 20s. He's younger. That should have been that was probably a decision from higher ups. It shouldn't have happened, but his talent is undeniable. And I think it's pretty cool to see. I mean, Danielson loves putting over younger folks, and he loves putting on these great matches with people. There's a point in time where we thought that never could happen again. So you kind of have to absorb that whenever you can. And that's exciting to hear. I've heard nothing but good things about that match. I think I'm probably going to seek that out so I can watch it on my own, because
absolutely,
it sounds worth it. I saw one
classic.
Ospreay was bouncing off the ropes to go for like a cutter, and Danielson came up and like kneed him in the face. And I was like, how do you guys even do that?
I know.
Really impressive. Really impressive.
Really impressive. And the match ended on a really scary note. It looked like Danielson got severely injured. But we did learn afterwards that it was a work. But again, it just goes to show that they are now they're going for storyline, and they're really trying to increase the I guess the purity of these characters. And I think Ospreay's got such a bright future ahead of him. I mean, he's huge already, but Danielson really put him over with that match. So that was great. Okay, last two. Ladder match for the AEW Tag Team Championship, FTR versus the Young Bucks.
Didn't they come out in a Cybertruck?
Yeah.
Is that yeah?
Yeah, that happened.
It's almost. I'm almost like. Well, I'm annoyed for two reasons. One, that's a great idea, and two, they still had to probably buy and/or rent the Cybertruck to make it. There's some balloons.
Hello.
The thumbs up or the two fingers. So I'm like annoyed because that works, but even more annoyed because I'm like, you still had to give the man money to make that happen, more than likely. So silly stuff. Who won that one?
That was the Young Bucks.
Young Bucks. Okay.
There were two big chants during this match. The first was "Please be careful," because I will say these spots were pretty rough, and they were like credit to everyone. Was
there an exploding shoe? Did someone else's? One of the dumbest things I've ever seen in pro wrestling. Next to Drew McIntyre's sword. But
no exploding shoes this time.
No exploding shoes. Nice.
Take a wild guess, Andrew. Young Bucks. Take a wild guess what the other chant was during this match.
Oh, was there some CM Punk chants? Fantastic.
Again,
that's what they asked for.
Yeah.
Like they could have. So dumb.
Well, guess how they won? Somebody from the crowd ran in and helped them win the match, and that was none other than Jack Perry.
Really?
Yep. So they're setting that up.
I didn't. Do you know what's? Oh man, do you know what's so funny about that? I didn't hear about that at all. Nobody cares. I was keeping up with nobody cared about Jack Perry before this stuff happened, and like once he stopped being Jungle Boy, it's just kind of like it was like. But oh man, that's insane. That's insane. I had no idea. Oh, they're doing all this stuff to play off of something that happened 6-7 months ago. Jeez.
Yeah. Really, the only, probably my only negative match of the night, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
Even the pre-matches were good that weren't televised. After finding some, what do you call them, like crowd videos and stuff, I'm like, these were pretty good. But then we got to the main event of the night, and another instant classic. This I think will go down in AEW history. Swerve Strickland versus Samoa Joe. Everyone loves Samoa Joe. But Swerve Strickland has had quite a career. No.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude has been through everywhere. New Japan. He worked with Defy Wrestling, who we will have the owner of Defy Wrestling on in the future to talk all about that independent company and people like Swerve who went through there. But Swerve Strickland versus Samoa Joe, just a straight up match for the AEW World Championship.
And he was around he also did Major League Wrestling. He was at Lucha Underground, and he had a short stint at WWE where he was criminally misused.
Yes.
Like it was just every now and then they just let people slip by, and like the proof is in the pudding. I mean, people were so psyched that he was in that match, and that he came out on top. Look at that!
Came out on top,
Look at that
baby.
belt. If you're watching, that's Swerve Strickland holding that belt. Like, that's impressive stuff. People love
awesome,
him,
man.
Yeah,
like I shed a little tear. I just shed a tear every time a new champion is crowned. Because it's such a special moment for them. Like, Swerve may go on to lose this championship and then win it again, or go to WWE, win a championship. But when you win your first major world championship, like, that is a moment you will have forever. And this was Swerve's, and it's so well deserved. After seeing him bite and claw his way for so long in AEW, he's been with them for a while now.
Yeah,
from
almost
what
3
I've
years.
been told.
Yeah.
So really good to see that. And one of the really cool things I think at the end of this match was Samoa Joe just simply rolled out of the ring, went up the ramp, and the camera stayed on Swerve the whole time to give him his moment. It wasn't about Samoa Joe losing or how he would react to that. He wanted Swerve to have his moment in the sun, and he truly did. He truly did. This was a match I will never forget.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Very cool.
First African American to win the world championship in AEW.
Cool.
So making history right then and there.
Hell yeah.
I feel good about it. I feel good about AEW coming out of this pay-per-view.
Nice.
Will they?
Wow, that's awesome.
Will they keep it going? I hope so. I really do.
Yeah.
I'm not giving up on them yet, man. I think they're doing really good stuff when they really focus on their characters.
Yeah. Cool. That's exciting. I'm glad you had such a good time. Like, and it looked good, and I would love to see Swerve. Like, have MJF will be back soon enough, presumably. So that'd be a good person to start a feud with.
Totally.
Why not?
I can't wait.
Yeah.
B+. I'll give it a B+.
Okay. We like B+.
Well, let's move quickly to SmackDown. Last week. Not a lot happened, but we did get LA Knight versus AJ Styles, which opened the show. Wow, what a way to open SmackDown.
For
that
real.
Was awesome.
Yep. Styles won that match, and we're going to see him against Cody Rhodes at Backlash, which is kind of, I think, we talked about this a little bit before the match happened, but I think that's what I kind of assumed was going to happen.
You did. I remember.
Yeah, only because you can't really. LA Knight versus Cody Rhodes doesn't make a ton of sense right now, and AJ Styles is doing some great heel work. So it'll be fun to see Cody Rhodes have to bump up against him in France. And then we saw Kevin Owens get demolished by Tama Tonga, and and then there was some car stuff. There was it's just really, I think you've talked before about returning to an attitude era of things. And there is this kind of brutality. We saw a lot of blood coming out of Kevin Owens. There's
little
angle. Yeah.
Holy hell, man. I think you could see his brain at one point. No, I'm just kidding. But look, Paul Heyman said it at a press conference months and months ago, and I didn't believe him. He said, "Where's the story of the bloodline? What inning, if we're talking baseball?" And he said, "Third inning." And I laughed. I'm like, "Not, dude. It's over. It's over." And I think this SmackDown really proved there's still a lot to do with the bloodline. And
Jacob Fatu hasn't even shown up on screen yet.
Exactly.
The Rock's daughter is still, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, which makes me feel terrible. She's still there in development, if not NXT, possibly. That bloodline is strong, and there's a lot of really good wrestlers in that family and the adjacent people. So I'm right there with you. I agree with Paul Heyman. There's still lots of work to be done to see it evolve and change like that, and maybe eventually even have a nice face turn kind of a thing. Bloodline versus bloodline. You could have Jimmy J and Roman against Solo, Tama Tonga, and Jacob Fatu. I think there's a lot of possibility left, as long as they play it as well as they have been. They're still a force to be reckoned with. Tama Tonga has had one of the most explosive WWE debuts that I've seen in some time. They are really building him up to be a beast.
Yeah, next level bloodline. I'm gonna say a bloodier bloodline is to come. Last big thing at SmackDown, Bayley versus Naomi was the main event. Good match. It's always fun to see friends fight and then get pissed at each other, but kind of end on a good note. But this didn't really end on a good note. Tiffany Stratton, one of my new favorite budding superstars, is caused a no contest finish by attacking both women and proclaimed that it was Tiffy time. So
nice. Yep.
Yeah, so
Backlash is coming soon, man. They've done a really good job with Tiffany Stratton since moving her up to the main roster. Like, it is the days of moving people up and not knowing what to do with them feel like they're kind of over, which is exciting. Look, nobody's perfect. I'm sure there'll still be people that are mishandled, but right now I'm feeling good about those people getting moved up.
Me too. All right, well, let's move to Raw. Awesome Truth retained their tag team titles against DIY. Really good match. Really good match. And ended with Awesome Truth retaining, which was great. Great to see.
Yeah, I think they're going to have those belts for a good little bit, because if I had to guess who might take them, that will be, is this on the agenda of, I'll get to it in a minute. Who I think would probably be the team to take the belts from them.
Okay.
But we saw Gunther return, deliver a fantastic promo. His first time on screen since losing at WrestleMania. The man showed no remorse. And then we got to see Imperium versus New Day. And then we got to see Imperium kind of break up. Giovanni, I always forget his last name, but Da Vinci, thank you. Kaiser, they had won the match, and Kaiser, they really slow played Kaiser, because I was saying to Joe, my wife was sitting on the couch too, and I was like, I think these guys are about to break up. And then I was like, oh, maybe not. I was like, because they made it outside of the ring. And usually, like, he kept hugging him in that way that was just that classic wrestling. Oh, I'm hugging you. It's okay, because I'm about to hurt you really bad.
Stab you in the back.
Yeah. And then he waited until he got out of the ring, and then he really beat the piss out of him.
He did.
And for a moment, too, I thought this was like, oh, maybe this is Kaiser going out on his own. No, walked backstage to an approving Gunther and said, I told you I'd handle it. And Gunther smiled. And I love Imperium. I don't see, I feel kind of bad. I don't see Giovanni Da Vinci as much of a singles wrestler. I'll be interested if we see anything from him coming up. You never know. But he took that beating like a champ. I doubt we'll see him on TV for a while, but I'll be interested to see if we do see a new member of Imperium to kind of fill that void, because a 2-person stable, don't really do much.
They don't do much. I can't imagine Gunther and Kaiser as like a tag team, to be honest. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
No.
But my problem here, Andrew, is we've seen this scuffle before between Gunther, Kaiser, and Da Vinci. So I mean, I found it a little redundant, but I do think that this could possibly be the end of Imperium as we know it. So I think you're right. I think I would love to see a new member. I think, can I do a prediction right here?
Please do it.
I could see Dragunov coming in.
Oh, duh.
Right?
Oh, man. Good point.
Too similar, maybe, to Kaiser? I don't know.
No, I wouldn't even say too similar. Similar is fine. They're supposed to be like German fascists. They can look exactly alike, to be perfectly frank.
Right.
But if anything, I feel like Dragunov is such a good singles wrestler that I don't know if that would benefit him at all, but maybe.
That's true.
I think it's a good idea. I think it makes the most sense, but I don't know what it does for him.
Right.
But we'll see.
That's true. Someone like Jade Cargill clearly needs a team right now to help her, whereas someone like Dragunov does not.
I thought you were bringing that up to suggest that Jade Cargill joined Imperium, which would be one of the funniest things bleep me later. Funniest things that they could possibly do. Oh man,
the Imperium storm is coming.
Oh man, that's so funny. I can't. It's so funny that I dropped an F-bomb. Please remember to bleep that later.
I will.
This is for
your
kids. This is for my kids specifically. When I force them to listen to our show over breakfast. We had Sheamus and Drew McIntyre getting each other's faces. Some nice little promos, and we got to see Sheamus fight Shinsuke Nakamura after that. Put on a hell of a match. And even reference, Sheamus was almost not going to be able to wrestle again. And had some time off, and people were taking shots at his current body shape, the condition he's in. Because
still in better shape than 95% of the people complaining about it. But
and Drew McIntyre, they kind of played that up a little bit. They worked that into their angle, into their discussion. I'm excited to see these two wrestle for a little bit. I'm also now even more curious while they were setting it up. I was like, I feel like CM Punk might be a ways away, or maybe he's just like, I'm not going to France. He's like, I'm not going to France if I can't wrestle yet. Give him something else to do. True. So Chad Gable dug deeper into his heel turn last night in talking about the Alpha Academy, and kind of berated them all in the center of the ring. Akira Tozawa and Maxine and Otis were all like given the guff, as is either way. Chad Gable really ripped into them, and now I just don't see that. I feel like they all just kind of took it, and I feel like they're going to turn on him sooner rather than later. But there have been rumors that the Creed brothers are going to join Chad Gable, like be the new Alpha Academy with Chad Gable, or at least join with Chad Gable, which I would love. I love the Creed brothers. We got to see them live back in December. I thought they were great. They make a lot of sense to be working with Chad Gable. And if I see any team taking those belts from Awesome Truth, it's the Creed brothers.
Absolutely.
Honestly, dude. I think that could be a huge push for them. I think it makes a lot of sense. They're a great tag team, and it could push that stable forward as well. I even think we see Chad Gable maybe taking the Intercontinental belt from Sami Zayn sooner rather than later. So we'll see. There's still time, but I really liked that segment, even if Gable seemed a little uncomfortable being mean, which I thought was kind of nice.
It's kind of cute. Yeah, he's trying. I think
he's really trying. He's really
will
trying.
Find it. He'll find it.
I think so too.
And I think he had a good moment when he did turn heel, and literally ripped Sammy away from his wife.
Yeah, less talking in that situation, which I think helps him. Like he's not bad on the mic. He was trying to be mean to these guys, and I was like, "Oh, pal, I feel like you're about to start laughing." Like I think they're all just good friends. Before that match, after Maxine had been, dressed down by Chad Gable in the ring, Becky Lynch, there was like a big fight going on between. Oh, there was a lot of teases with Liv Morgan. There was a tease between Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio, who's going to be out for the foreseeable future, by the way, with a legitimate injury.
He's got a rockin' mustache.
A rockin' mustache.
But yes, actually injured, right?
Actually injured. Judgment Day just kind of like falling apart at the seams right now. Unless they work Liv Morgan in, which I think could be a possibility. And she lasted pretty long. She lasted until the very end of the Women's Battle Royal. But there was a big fight going on between Liv Morgan and Nia Jax backstage. And then Becky Lynch took the mic and started calling everything like kind of a disaster reporter. And then she stopped and gave a little pep talk to Maxine, which almost got me a little choked up. Just because it was like, so she's so good at that stuff. And she was just like, go out there and show them why this won't be your last women's title match. It was really nice. And then we had a battle royal. That was a banger. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of good spots for a lot of the women on the roster. I think it really showed everybody off in a positive light. Everybody got like a nice little moment. And at the end, it was like Nia Jax, Liv Morgan, Shayna Baszler, Zoe, who also got like a vignette last night. And then Becky Lynch had been almost taken out of the match and then went back in and hyped herself up and ended up with Liv Morgan first eliminating Nia Jax together, which I thought was great. And then Becky won and is our new women's world heavyweight champ, and man, what a great pick, and celebrated in the crowd with the fans. It was, I also, for those looking, the guy at the bottom left who's in this picture, for those watching, there's one guy backwards, tan hat, if you want to find the clips, that just seems so psyched that Becky Lynch is there hanging out with him. Any angle you see, that guy's just like, look at this, this is pretty cool.
I just bought this ticket tonight.
Yeah. So yeah, just really, it was really special, and I kind of wonder, how much in the plan this was. I feel like they probably weren't going to take the belt from Rhea Ripley, but it is kind of interesting that the person that Rhea Ripley defended against at WrestleMania, who had at the time a 102 fever and strep throat, ended up winning the belt. And I almost wonder, like, oh, maybe if she was feeling better, she would have won it that night. Maybe not. A lot of people talk about how they've been wrestling with injuries recently. Like we learned that Seth Rollins had a torn meniscus during WrestleMania and wrestled with that 2 nights in a row. Technically in 3 matches. Like just, really impressive stuff. So I almost wonder if Rhea Ripley had been wrestling with an injury. No, actually, because I think they said it wasn't the chair shot to the head that got her, but it was the getting pushed into the wall. It was like a freak accident. So never mind. So that's not the case. But it was still, I love Becky Lynch. She was great in the match. She's so good at like faces in the ring. Like she emotes really well while she's wrestling. And I'm thrilled. I think it's not only am I thrilled for her, I'm thrilled for whenever Rhea does come back and they have a proper match that is probably going to be a little bit stronger than their one at WrestleMania because of, again, the aforementioned 102-degree fever. So
and strep throat. Incredible.
Yes. Yeah. So all in all, it was a pretty fun Raw. It was exciting. I think they've still got a lot of momentum going post WrestleMania. So we'll see what happens later this week.
Exactly. And now's a weird time. Like we're transitioning. We've got the draft.
Yes, that's right. The draft.
So it's hard to do anything between WrestleMania and the draft because we don't know who's going where. You can't start a storyline that you can't finish.
Right.
Well, there's been many storylines that have never
finished. They will try.
But yeah, we've got the draft coming up this Friday, April 26th on SmackDown on Fox, and then April 29th on Monday Night Raw. So any big predictions, Andrew, on any big changes that are going to happen? I see a lot of moving up from NXT, but do you think there's going to be any really shocking things to
I feel like Logan Paul. I feel like Logan Paul's going to Raw.
Okay.
I think that's going to happen. I think we'll probably see Dragunov go to Raw. And what's funny too is they've tried to. I feel like they need another big star on SmackDown.
Agreed.
I don't know who that would be, but I think we'll see some people move over to SmackDown. Obviously, I think we'll see some people going from one brand to another brand in this draft. I am honestly not sure.
Yeah,
not sure at all. The one thing I would be looking forward to, SmackDown would be fun. Like people going from SmackDown to Raw would be fun. People being brought up from NXT would be fun. I bet we see a free agent show up at one of these and get sent to one of these places.
Love it. My predictions now, I think Cody is going to go over to SmackDown. Not like forever or just SmackDown, but I could see him going over there a bunch. I think LA Knight is going to get drafted over to Monday Night Raw.
Ooh, that'd be pretty cool.
In place of Cody sort of being the big face over there.
Sure.
That's what I'm seeing. I feel like that's what I want personally because I'm not getting my LA Knight Cody Rhodes match at Backlash. Nothing against AJ Styles. He's amazing. But I would like to see LA Knight get his moment on Raw and really be.
And if he goes to Raw, I think that could. I don't think LA Knight is ready to wrestle for that Universal title. I could easily see him having the World Heavyweight title.
Yes.
Because I feel like something we're going to see, and we'll get into this in a moment with a listener question that we have. But the WWE, the Universal title, whatever you want to call it, is meant for people who transcend popularity, not just like outside of business. Like and it doesn't always happen. It's rare. It's hard to do, but you need people holding that belt who people recognize, even if they don't watch wrestling. So, they've gotten that way with Cody Rhodes. He also makes a lot of public appearances, and I still think there's probably that's still more of a wrestling name than anything else. But LA Knight is getting there, and people like him. He's doing them Slim Jim commercials, but I don't know yet. I think he would be more suited for the World Heavyweight title. I bet we see that sooner than later. Who has it right now? Damian Priest. That's right, because we're going to see Damian Priest against Jey Uso at Backlash.
Mm-hmm. Well, Andrew, before we get to our listener question and get out of here for the day, one more sort of breaking story that we got a promo for last night on Raw. The King and Queen of the Ring, Saturday, May 27th in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia.
Okay. All right.
What do you think?
I'm always...
I know your thoughts.
It's going to be hard to not see them
hard.
doing it in Saudi Arabia and not be annoyed by that. But I'll try to power through and say that, hey, I like King of the Ring. I like Queen of the Ring. I do like that they do both of those now. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, we had some big Xavier Woods talking about wanting to be King of the Ring again last night during their little setup to the match with Imperium. And it feels like he and Gunther might be heading for a face-off, which if that's the case, I feel like Gunther would probably win King of the Ring. It only makes sense. But could be wrong. Could be LA Knight. It could be anybody. Queen of the Ring, I'd be interested in seeing who they want to give that to. If I had to guess, it would be Jade Cargill. But we'll see. We'll see when we get there.
Oh my God, I would give anything to see Gunther with a crown on his head sitting in a throne.
Pretty great.
My God.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. All right, buddy. Well, we had a listener question come in this week from our good friend Andy here in Scotland.
Excellent name.
Yeah. Should we give that a play? And
let's do it.
Awesome. Let me find it here. All right, let's give this a listen.
Hi guys, how you doing? So question here from me, Andy. WrestleMania for the best part of 20 years has still been headlined by the Attitude Era guys and Cena, for example. And let's throw Reigns in the hat too now. It's been 20 years of stars who were past it or part-time headlining and being the main attraction. And in say 5 years' time, that's not an option anymore. What's WrestleMania going to look like without those star names? And do you think there are any real big star names now? Because I think if you take out all those guys like The Rock, Reigns, Cena, etc., the card for WrestleMania 41, for example, doesn't look great. I even think the house shows after Mania don't look great. My only hope is that with Triple H taking over, the content gets better, as it seems to be. What do you guys think?
I think it's a fair question. I'll jump right in and say that, again, yes, there was obvious pushback against the Rock inserting himself into the Universal title picture, their match picture this past year for WrestleMania. And it is something that they interrupted like a storyline that was going on. But if you're breaking it down business-wise, The Rock is the draw. Like, I was talking to people, I know people, I have friends, Ryan. I know, but I have friends who watch wrestling who were legitimately excited about The Rock coming back for that main event. Like, that was going to be news. He has that kind of stature. John Cena has that kind of stature and appeal to the outside world. I would even argue Roman Reigns does to a certain extent. He is known at least. I think what will need to happen is we would have to wait and see all the budding stars who are currently being built up. Your LA Knights, your Baileys, your Becky Lynches, your Rhea Ripley's, these people who can have outside appeal and still and look, the WrestleMania is never going to have any shortage of wrestlers from the past to pull from. I think what Andy makes a good point about is that the people he mentioned are huge stars, even outside of wrestling. So if he's asking how do you replicate that, I'm not sure. We've seen it done. We've seen people get their stock raised outside of the WWE, and that could still happen for other folks. I do think that as long as CM Punk's still around for next year, and not injured, he'll be a big draw. I think they're probably we're going to see a huge push for Damian Priest, LA Knight, people like that. So I think it's kind of a wait and see game. If it's always a little, unless it's, 10 years ago and we're like, oh, The Rock and John Cena are going to face each other at WrestleMania next year, like they did. It's hard to build up any of that kind of momentum. But I don't know. I think it's a good question. I do think that the answer lies somewhere in the people that they have now and turning them into legitimate superstars. And there is a good way to do that with their partnership with UFC. We're going to see the next NXT pay-per-view is going to take place at the UFC facility in Las Vegas. Right. And I think through TKO's management, we'll start to see some of those things branch out. Who knows? We could also see for the first time next year, WrestleMania, a TNA title get defended. We could see some legitimate crossover with other brands. I think what will help push the business forward, especially to get those big marquee names, is to kind of help each other. And WrestleMania could turn into not just, obviously primarily a WWE focused event, but also just a wrestling focused event. And they will just have to start to draw from outside sources that are still in pro wrestling. So I think it's a fair concern. I think there are, when you say names like The Rock and John Cena, doesn't get much higher than that unless you're like a Stone Cold. And those guys won't be able to wrestle forever. So, yeah, who does come next? And I think it'll be a wait and see kind of a situation. Who else can catch fire? The WWE is really good at taking one person and getting them like a small handful of people and getting them up to like this high level of excitement. So, yeah, I think I understand. I don't think it's anything to be worried about just yet. And I think something else he brought up that is going to be a deciding factor is Triple H and how he decides to work with these wrestlers.
Absolutely. I think it's such a great question. I agree with you. I think it's too early to really make any of those predictions on who that might be, when it might happen. But I think we're still in a good place. I mean, you've got Roman Reigns is off making a movie right now, or in a movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's doing something right now. Cody Rhodes. It was just announced that he's going to be in the new reboot of Naked Gun.
Yep. So, yeah.
You're seeing these seeds being planted. Seth Rollins is apparently in the new Captain America coming out.
Oh, really? Oh, wait. Yes. I think I knew that. Cool.
Yeah.
See, there you go. There you go.
There's seeds here and there. Some of the female wrestlers.
Liv Morgan was on Chucky last year.
Exactly.
Which was awesome.
And I believe her and someone else might be in an upcoming wrestling movie as well. Cool. There's these little seeds being planted. And I think right now we're in a transitional stage when it comes to and who knows, maybe there isn't going to be another generation of these mega stars like The Rock or Cena. But that's okay. Cause like you said, I think WWE, TKO, they're building a brand, and that takes time, especially when you merge with another company. So you're right. I think with Triple H in charge, we will see him doing a lot of different things, trying and sometimes maybe failing, but at least trying. And,
as much as people might cringe to hear this, somebody like Logan Paul main eventing a night at WrestleMania is going to get a lot of headlines. That's going to get a lot of people watching. That's going to get a lot of, oh man, I was at my day job recently and a kid brought up ISO Speed, who was at WrestleMania, and I was able to go, I know who that is. Because of wrestling. I was like, yeah, he's at WrestleMania. And then this family was talking about WrestleMania for a little bit. Like, it's as much as that stuff can be like kind of cringy, it works. It really works. Like, for all we know, we saw the two Philadelphia Eagles players hop into the ring for WrestleMania. Aaron Judge is one of the best players in baseball currently, who broke a single season home run record last year. Or the year before. Was that last year or the year before? Either way, he's huge, and he's signed with Prime.
Yeah.
Like, there are these connections everywhere. So
look at the NFL title belts. I mean, they're already doing it.
They finally started doing ones for Major League Baseball too. So if somebody has $500 to loan me that they will never get back, I will get one of those Texas Rangers belts. I really wanted one. They look great. So
speaking of which, patreon.com/somewhere-in-the-ring podcasts.
So yeah, thanks, Andy. I think that's a great question. I think it's a lot to chew on, honestly.
Yeah. I'm going to have to think on that one a little longer, but yeah, there's a lot of names out there and only time will tell, but we got a lot coming up, man. Backlash in a couple weeks, so I'm excited about that. What do you have coming up? Anything you can update us on?
Yeah. Let's. I will say first of all, Random Access Theater, who I have worked with plenty in the past, is opening their space, The Rat in NYC, which opens it's like kind of open already, but they're doing their big launch May 3rd through the 5th, and they will be doing 2 Star Wars adaptations that I wrote for them as part of their Drunk Texts series. Not the most family friendly thing, because there's a lot of drinking in those, obviously, but it is really exciting. I wrote an adaptation of Star Wars: A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back, called A Hope Renewed and The Empire Doth Protest, respectively, and I will be performing in the reading of The Empire Doth Protest as Han Solo. I'll be wearing a wig, all that fun stuff, saying thee and they and all those fun things. So if you go to randomaccesstheater.com or theratnyc.com and check that out. And also I have a short film that will be making its premiere that I wrote at Tootsie's Video Vault at May 31st at 8 p.m. in Littlefield, Brooklyn. So look up Tootsie's Video Vault, and you can come see a show I wrote, or a short I wrote called Chemistry Test, and I will be there as well. So, come say hi.
That's awesome, man. Hey, thanks, congrats on everything. I don't know how you find the time to be a father, a husband, a podcaster, a writer, but all the power to you.
I'm always tired, Ryan. I'm always tired. It's like the Hulk when he's just like, that's my thing. I'm always angry. That's my thing. I'm always tired.
Okay.
I'm always tired. What do you got coming up, Ryan?
What do I got coming up? Nothing. I'm doing nothing. I have no plans.
That's not true. I think people should check out our Mothership podcast, which I would call it Somewhere in the Ring or Somewhere in the Skies. Trying to do something nice. Couldn't even do that. Always tired. No, but listen to Somewhere in the Skies. It's been going nuts. And it's to the point too. I meant to ask you about this, and maybe we can talk about it on Somewhere in the Skies. There was a big, like John Oliver took 25 minutes to talk about UFOs on Last Week Tonight this week. Absolutely. And it was a pretty nuanced segment, as I would always expect from him. It was really good.
Great. Yeah. We should chat about that.
Happily.
For sure. And I should mention, now that you mentioned Somewhere in the Skies, you've been featured on like the past 2 episodes doing some awesome voiceover work. Thanks, along with another colleague of mine, Amy Murphy, and Miguel Romero, who did our logo, our podcast logo for Somewhere in the Ring. So always working together. Love the collaboration that we all do. So thank you to you. My pleasure. You can check out Somewhere in the Skies every Monday, wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you listen or watch Somewhere in the Ring. And other than that, we look forward to Backlash coming up soon. Yeah. And Andrew, I will see you here next week, man, for another episode of Somewhere in the Ring.
Ryan, I am looking forward to it. Just real quick, again, Somewhere in the Ring pod on Twitter, Some Ring pod on Twitter, Somewhere in the Ring on Instagram. If you search Somewhere in the Ring, we pretty much show up. Patreon.com/Somewhere in the Ring. Like, subscribe, leave reviews, and we will read them on the show. And thank you for listening. Thank you so much. Sincerely. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, yeah.
This has been Somewhere in the Ring. Thank you for listening. Subscribe wherever you get your pods, and be sure to rate and review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever possible. We'll see you again soon, Somewhere in the Ring.